o le kinga kaneola. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. E no.
Kaka ka tangi hoki o tihe mōlu. Tēnei, te kura e te hotane, tēnā ko hinga ma te haere. Haere ki tō tātou mātou i te rangi. Haere, haere, haere atu. Kapu te hono tātou hono. Te hongo ora ki te hongo ora. Kia ora tātou te hongo ora i tēnā. Ko Tipene, Takuinga. Toko toko. Toko maanga, ko Wairoa, toko awa. Ko Nomai, me Ipia, toko Marae. Ngā Kiri, te Arawa, Hapu. Ko William, Waitai, Tipene, Dolly and Tahu, ko Mātua Tupu. I'll do a Waita now. Excuse my singing voice, I haven't been on New Zealand Idol or anything like that. E hara I te me, o e nai te aroha, no ngā tupuna, tupu iho, tupu iho. Reira. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
Kia ora, Rita. Tēnā.
Well, you can see, not only you haven't been on New Zealand Idols, these guys haven't either. That's why I asked them to sing, because the first lot was just us two. They do know the words. They're just sussing you out to see what kind of singer you are. Now you guys are in the same league. Now you're going to listen. This is a whanaunga of Matua's here, and that's why I stood, because I knew that, and you know, in our tikanga, you tautoko people, and he didn't have anyone to tautoko him, but Matua still sang for him. But who sang for Matua? Mr. Paitai. So all you kore take a lot, who didn't sing for Matua, you make up to Matua in another way later. Because I know you fellas know the words, but he's one of our whanaunga who's come to talk to you.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. I noticed you and you, a couple of others are here too. Mainly voices over here. It's nice to be here, it's nice to visit the school. I've visited a lot of schools so far this week. It's all becoming a bit of a blur now. Each school keeps running into another school. I do a lot of this, but I haven't done it for a while. Mostly I go to schools and do a whole lot of warrior training, warrior kids and so forth, and a whole lot of stuff for being strong in yourself. So you guys, any of you familiar with my books at all? Any of you familiar? What book are you familiar with, Madi? Warrior Kids. Yeah.
The other class read Kuratua.
Kuratua. Yeah. So yeah, that one there. And let's see. Oh, this is another one. You might remember this when you're a few years back, homing the tani farm. Or maybe not. Let's see, what else? Heidi. You seen this one at all? Anybody seen this one at all? Nobody? Okay. Well, that's all right, because if you haven't seen it, that means it's good to read, so it's fine. What else have we got? The Wooden Fish. This was the first one I ever got published. gives me a chance to locate them all and make sure they're all... here we go. The Warrior Kids one, of course, we were talking about before. And the latest one that's just come out, is this one here. There finds his wings. Now this is new in one sense, but it's actually quite old for me. I wrote this story 6 years ago. But it's been sitting in a publisher's office all this time. And a couple of years ago they contacted me and said, well, now's the time we would like to publish that story of yours. And so off they went with it. Let's see. I'll start with this one. I'll read you this stuff. This one. Jo Thapper did the illustrations. Now, normally she does, this is her first picture book. A lot of artists do it. A lot of illustrators, children's books, a lot of them do a lot of other art. But they do this because, it gives them a check, helps them to keep paying the bills, so they can go off and do their own painting. So, there what finds his wings. Oh, to be a bird, thought Erwin. How he would soar, touching the blue sky with the tips of his wings. He imagined being a piwai waka, fluttering about from branch to branch deep in the forest. He imagined being a kiriru, flapping his wings to make a whooshing sound, swooping over treetops. He imagined being a tui, dancing through the air with his mate and singing such sweet song. Get back to work, Rewa, yelled his boss. I don't pay you to lie around all day. Rewa sighed and picked himself up. If only he was a bird, then he wouldn't have to work at a job that he didn't like. As always, Rewa worked until 5 o'clock, then headed home. How was work today, his mum asked. The same, Rewa said. Oh, I wish you were happy, Mum said. I'm all right, Mum, Rewa replied, not wanting her to worry. But Mum was worried. She asked Rewa to visit a friend she had up north, a tuonga. Now, tuonga knows special things that no ordinary person knows. Rewa climbed into his car and drove up north. After a long drive, Rewa found the cranky old house. You don't look very happy, the tuonga said as soon as he saw Rewa. It's my job, Rewa replied. It's not what I want to be doing. What do you want to do? The tuonga asked. Have you ever changed anyone into a bird? Rewa joked. The tuonga looked long and hard at him. Not for some time, the tuonga said. Rewa was shocked. Really? Funny thing though, said the tuonga. Every person who's become a bird seems to spend most of the time trying to be near people. Rewa didn't care. He collapsed on his knees in front of the tuonga and pleaded. Please, please change me into a bird, Rewa said. The tuonga sighed. All right, but you mustn't be a bird for too long. Otherwise you'll forget how to be a person and end up being a bird forever. Rewa agreed. So the tuonga chanted over Rewa. As if waking from a dream, Rewa realised he was a bird. Piwai waka. Rewa flew outside and fluttered from branch to branch. He saw the sky and set off to soar high. Rewa flapped his wings hard and left the trees behind. Up and up he went, feeling the air about him. Rewa could see for miles. He could see streams becoming rivers, hills becoming mountains. The higher he flew, the more he could see. Come back, Rewa, come back, cried the tuonga. You'll forget. Rewa didn't care. He wanted to see more. You must come back now, Rewa demanded the tuonga. Rewa's wings became tired. He wasn't used to flying so high. Exhausted, he gently flapped down to the tuonga and remembered how to be a person. The next day at work, Rewa couldn't stop thinking about his flight as a bird. When all the machines stopped for lunch, Rewa lay back and listened to the kiriru cooing in a nearby tree and dreamed of flying high. When work finished, the rewa jumped into his car and drove up north. The tūhunga wasn't surprised to see him. The rewa collapsed on his knees in front of the tūhunga and pleaded, "Please, please change me into a bird again," the rewa said. The tūhunga looked long and hard at her. "Are you sure this is what you want?" he asked. "Yes. Please, make me a kiruru this time," the rewa replied. "All right, but you mustn't be a bird forever," the tūhunga said. The rewa agreed. So the tūhunga changed the rewa. As if waking from a dream, the rewa realised he was a bird, a kiruru. With a great whooshing sound, the rewa beat his wings. The rewa flew over the treetops. Hungry for height, he flew straight up. Up and up rewa went, until he could see whole towns and over mountains to where rivers met the ocean. "Come back, rewa, come back," cried the tūhunga. "You'll forget." Rewa didn't care. He wanted to see it all. "You must come back now, rewa," demanded the tūhunga. Rewa's wings grew heavy. He wasn't used to flying so long. Rewa gently flapped down to the tūhunga and remembered how to be a person. The next day, Rewa couldn't stand it any longer. He was fed up doing work he didn't like, so fed up that he walked off the job. His boss was angry, but Rewa didn't care. The only thing in his mind was soaring through the sky. Rewa hopped into his car and headed up north. "You're early," the tūhunga said when he saw Rewa. "Please turn me into a bird again," said Rewa. The tūhunga took a deep breath and frowned. "Are you sure this is what you want?" "I want to be a tui this time," Rewa smiled. "Well, as I've said before, Rewa, you mustn't be a bird for too long. Otherwise you'll forget how to be a person and end up being a bird forever," said the tūhunga. Rewa agreed. The tūhunga stood over Rewa and chanted. Rewa soon woke as a bird, a tui. Rewa danced through the air, singing sweet melodies. He flew high over the treetops. He flew higher to see the mountains behind the hills and where streams became rivers. Rewa flew even higher, seeing towns and over the mountains to where rivers met the ocean. "Come back, Rewa, come back," cried the tūhunga. But Rewa flew even higher, up into the clouds. "You must come back now, Rewa," demanded the tūhunga. Rewa swooped down and soared up high again, with the wind gently caressing his body. As Rewa touched the blue with the tips of his wings, he wore the sun on his back. "Oh, Rewa," sighed the tūhunga. The tui saw the tūhunga below and flew down to be near him. The tūhunga smiled at the bird. "Well, I see you're finally happy, Rewa," the tūhunga laughed. "Birds just can't be people," he said. And that's Rewa. So, a number of you guys have read Kaitaia, you've read Warrior Kids. Questions? Anybody got any questions? Don't be shy. This talk's all about you, you see. I've come here to spend time with you, so and our time's going to go quick too, so there's something you do want to know.
How many books have you written in total?
I've written lots of books. It doesn't mean they've all been published.
Yeah.
I've got 6 published, and I've got a 7th one that comes out at the end of the year. And that one's Hinimati. So I'm lucky this year I get 2 published. I didn't do so well at school. Right from the beginning. When I first went to school, I was in special classes for everything. I was in special classes for, what was it, reading, spelling, maths, and even to say TH properly. serious with the TH one. I used to have to go to the staff room. There was a speech therapist who would come in. She would sit in a chair. She would face me. And she'd, watch my tongue, Tim, watch my tongue. This, then, that, there. And I would have to say it back to again and again and again until I got the hang of speaking properly, putting it properly. And so, yeah, I was in special classes for everything. And a lot of that was because of what was going on in my home. You know, in my home, well, we're down in West Auckland, and some of the fun, of course, are in South Auckland, and well, I guess in some ways I've been a bit disconnected with a lot of things that are up here, and love to drink. I really love to drink. And I always did things in excess, you know. It wasn't just one drink. It had to be a couple of crates. You know, and with the drugs, of course, you know, it was more than, you know, you just keep going and keep going. And it was the same with their emotions. When they got upset, whether it was sad, angry, scared, it was always to excess, you know. They always were big, they were always loud. Home wasn't a nice place. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I certainly had some wonderful aunties, and my papa and all that. They were wonderful people. But I'm talking about the immediate ones that were just around me, and some of the other ones that were there as well. And so when I was at school, especially at primary school, I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay at school. I mean, one of the teachers I met up with recently, she's an old woman now, of course, but when I used to go to school, she remembers me because I was the boy that would come up to her in the morning and get a kiss and a hug. And I would do that every day. And then before I went home, in the afternoon, I'd get a kiss and a hug, because I wasn't getting that at home. And you know, those you know, I had some real good teachers at school, and in those years I actually really excelled at school. Of course, other years I didn't have such good teachers, and I didn't do so well. And when I left school, well, I didn't actually leave, I got expelled, to tell the truth. So I was encouraged to leave. There you go, I was encouraged to leave. And when I left school, and I was second year 15, which I believe would be year 12 for you now, but I was like, put that. And when I left school, I still couldn't tell the time on the hand clocks, you know, with the hands. I still couldn't tell the time on those. I didn't know my times tables, and I couldn't even say the alphabet when I left school. And again, when I was in high school, I was in special classes, and I couldn't do the mainstream maths. Everybody was in the mainstream maths. They put me in there by default one time. It was by accident. They mixed something up, and I ended up being in what they called School C maths. So I went in there. The teacher started putting this stuff on the board. Man, I had no idea what that was. It just looked like a mishmash to me. I had no sense of it. So here's me. I'm sitting there, you know, the book in front of me, looking at everybody else. They're all sitting down to do their work. What am I supposed to do? You know, screw up a piece of paper, hit the person in the head in front of me, you know, touch him in that one, talking, you know. Of course, I didn't last long in that class. And I did put up my hand for help. I certainly did. I put up my hand for help. The teacher would come over and he would start talking to me, and I might tell you, my eyes must just have glazed over because I looked at him. What? You know, and then he'd go back a little bit further. Okay, we'll go right back to this point. Huh? You know, don't worry about it. Just do what you want. Just be quiet. That's what he said to me in the end, because I was so far back. I was so far back. And so what they ended up doing with me, I ended up doing a thing called what they call Auckland maths, New Zealand maths. The idea was it was a simpler form of maths. So they put me in this little room by myself. No teacher. Just a little room by myself. So I sat in there. And they left me worksheets to do. Now, I was supposed to do these worksheets. Now, to start off, I did some of them. For a little while, a couple of them got marked. But after that, I would come back the week later. My sheets were still sitting there. No one had marked them. No one had even looked at them. What was the point? You know? I was guessing the answers. I had no idea to do that stuff. I just looked at the numbers and thought, oh, this will be good. I'll put that down. You know? Because I found sometimes if you did guess, sometimes you did get it right when you guessed. Wasn't often though, as you get older and the maths gets more complex, it didn't work so much. So guessing didn't work so well. So at those times when I ended up in that little room, there were times I'd go down the shop and get fish and chips and play spaces. Be back in time to catch the school bus. Or otherwise, I would sit in there, pull out my school book, and I would write. Writing was my saving grace. I couldn't spell. You know, when I was at primary school, the teacher said you could drive a truck through the spaces in my words, you know, because in the sentences, I was too big. My sentences were always around the wrong way, but I loved writing. And what writing did for me was it just gave me freedom. I was able to escape all the stuff going on in my heart. I didn't have to think about it. I was a world away. You know, and of course sad things happen. You know, people die and so on. And for me, it was just, I could write. I could just get all this stuff out by writing, and I could just escape. And I've never stopped. I've never stopped. So at school, I didn't do well, but I loved writing. And all these subjects, you know, didn't matter what it was, science or anything, I was at the back of the room, and I was writing stories. I just went for it. And of course, you know, when you get higher up, like you guys now, I mean, I understand English gets pretty complex now. You know, especially when it comes to the literature side of things, you know, they've broken it all up, and you guys are doing recounts and all sorts of stuff, I believe. Some of the other kids telling me. That would never have worked for me. All I needed was a big refill and a pen, and just leave me alone, and I'll go for it. And I just wanted to write whatever was there, and I'd write poems and songs, but it just really helped me, and I've never stopped. I'm still writing, and it helped me through. Really, looking back, you know, it really helped me through. Because you know, I had some real scary times at home. You know, my dad thought he was pretty tough. He thought he was a tough guy. I know, and I remember. It's just another school, so you know all the stories are up at the moment. I remember one time though, you know, he would fix things up around the house. Mind you, a lot of the things he fixed was the things he broke in the first place when he was angry. So he wanted to fix something in the house. What was it? We had to go down into the garage. So he was heading down into the garage, you know, heading up to the garage. And of course, I had to be the one that would have to hold things in place while he's screwing, you know, hammering. And I hated it. I hated it because if it went wrong, it didn't matter what he had in his hand, I was going to be the one that got it. So, you know, I go down into the garage, and he calls out, "Timothy, come here." I go down to the garage. He's always angry about something, always angry about something. He goes up to the roller door, reaches down to the roller door. You know, I'm standing behind him. What are we going to do now? Here we go. And he reaches down to the roller door, and he throws it up. You know, always angry, throws it up. The roller door, you know how roller doors go. Go up and go into a coil. So up it goes into the coil. Ding, ding, ding. Keeps going. Ding, 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 ding. Even longer than what it's supposed to. Ding, ding, ding. And then drops. My dad's standing underneath of those, looking out at the world. And the thing drops down on his head. Bang! Falls behind him. My dad doesn't budge. He just stands there looking out at the world. And then he looks behind him, like that, and looks back out. Now I'm behind. Of course I'm being very quiet, but I am laughing. I am full on laughing because I know that would have hurt. That would have hurt. And my dad, he's too tough. You know, he's looking out at the world, ready to take it on. There. So, yeah, and so in my family, there was all this, not much self-control, you know, always excessive self. As you can see, I'm one of these people who like to move around a lot. You know, at school I was like that too. You know, I was fidgeting, always in the fidget. I had to change. Sometimes I've been to meetings, you know, and fancy places and all that too, accountants and stuff, all sitting around, suits and ties and things, all sitting there. And they're all talking, all civil, you know, around the table. Comes to me, I'm up, walking around the room, you know, talking like this, you know. They're all, who is this guy, man? Some hippie, go back to your bus. But that's what they've said a couple of times. But I'm joking. They did say joking. Yeah, but you know, all this stuff was happening. And when I was young, I remember looking at my family and thinking, you know, like I said, I had my nanas and my papas, and I had some wonderful aunties and stuff. I mean, when the family dues were on, a lot of the time I would be under the table when my auntie, you know, they all sit around playing cards. Maybe some of your aunties might do that, sitting around playing cards. All the men are outside, you know, drinking and carrying on. I was often under the table, you know, as a real little fella, hiding, because I knew when things were going out there, I didn't want to be anywhere near it. And but a big thing for me, you know, looking at my family, I didn't want to be anything like them. I mean, my real father. So when I talk about my dad, I'm talking about my stepdad, because that's who I've known most of my life. My real father spent all his life in prison. He's disgusting. And so yeah, but when I'm looking at my immediate family, I didn't want to be anything like them. Now I thought that if I just chose that, if I just decided that would be the case. I didn't realise you had to work at it. You know, as I started getting older, about your age and up a bit more, got behind the wheel of a car, you know, I thought, I'm all right, I've got self-control and stuff and so on. But that foot just kept going down and down and down. And there were some instances where I realised, you know, that I really needed to work on this stuff. And there was one time I was working at a place and I was exploring drinking. I was only 19, sort of 19 through to 20, and I didn't drink much because the smell of alcohol reminded me, it just took me always back to the abuse, and I wanted to be in control. You know, I didn't want to go around hurting people. I mean, I was a little 2-year-old boy now, and a 3-month-old little girl, and I don't want them to ever be scared of me. You know, I was scared of my family. You know, and in my family, there was no answering back. You know, I'm amazed sometimes I see kids today answering back. Oh man, in my family, you do not answer back. You know, wouldn't it just been my dad, it would have been my uncles, it would have been my aunties, everybody. You don't answer back. I remember one boy came, he was, I don't know, social welfare for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to put another kid in our house. And this kid had been through a lot of families and stuff, and he came in there, you know, and he was strutting and stuff, and he thought this was going to be a breeze, you know. And one day, you know, he answered back to my dad. And all us kids, we just cringed. And we just don't go there. He got the bash for that. You know, in my family, you did not answer back. You didn't even look at them when they were talking to you. When they were off, man, you didn't even look at them. You raised your head a little bit, you know, knock it off. You know, that's what they were like. You knock your head off. My dad, one of his sayings to me was, "What are you crying about?" "I'm not crying." "You will be." Another one of his sayings was, "Put your head through that wall." You know. But anyway, he thought he was tough. He was pretty gung-ho. So yeah, and so one time I was working at a place, and there was one car here, and in this car was a girlfriend, and she had 2 little cousins or nieces, I think they were with her. And over in the stand, he was my workmate, and they were trying to get me to go down to the pub with them. So I was going back in between these 2 cars. So I come over here, and I'm, oh, yeah, I'm going to stay with my girlfriend's. No, we're going to go back and watch the and my mate's, "Oh no, man, come to the pub. It's not going to be any fun without you. Come on, just a couple of drinks." "Oh, okay. So I go back to this car. "Oh, look, dear, you know, I'm just going to go out. I'm just going to have a little bit of a good time. I'll come back. I won't be too late, I promise." She's like, "You said you'd stay with us?" "Oh, okay. So I come back in, and I was going back and forth. And I don't know, but something just snapped to me. So I was standing here with, you know, and I was 19 at the time, and my girls and my ladies in the car, these 2 little ones in the back, and I'm standing, I'm holding the door, and she's, you know, she's saying to me she wants me to stay with her, and my friends are still saying to come with them, and just something snapped. I didn't know why. I slammed the door. And when I slammed the door, the window shattered, glass went all over here, and the 2 kids were there. They didn't get hurt, but they were scared. And right at that moment, you know, that the place just went quiet. There's a band of workmen over there, they're all quiet. Everybody's looking at me, you know, like, what are you going to do next? And I'm standing there, where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? And so I just stopped. I just stopped short and went, "Oh." So I said, you know, I'm not going to the pub tonight, you know, to fix this up. But it also just woke me up. You know, I can decide that I don't want to be like my family, but I actually have to work it. That's the other part. You know, you make the choice, that's one thing. Then you have to actually work it. So it seems unfair, eh? You get so hurt, you know, you get so battered and stuff, and I hate to think that any of you guys have experienced this sort of stuff. I hate to think that you have been hurt by the people that are supposed to love you and care for you. But sadly, I guarantee in this room that there's probably a number of people that have been. So it's usually the case. I volunteered for an anger management group after that. I thought, I need to sort this anger business out. So I went along to an anger management group. Now this was okay. This was in West Auckland. It was a half circle. The chairs were in a half circle, a bit like this front row here, I guess. So we had all these guys all sitting in here. You know, some sitting like this. You know, and they're the faces. You know, just follow it. So I come along, sit on the end. Oh yeah, this sort of stuff. Let's get going. Let's get into this stuff. So they start down the other end, of course. You know, what brought you here? And all of them had been sent. you know, as we kept getting closer to me, you know, I was thinking, surely someone else has volunteered. You know, why are you here? You know, oh, the court's empty because, you know, and then they keep going around. Family court, community corrections, they'd all been sent. Comes to me. So what brings you here? Oh, I just want to sort out my anchor man, you know. I don't want to hurt anybody. And all these guys turn around and look at me. What are you doing here, man? Go home. You don't have to be here. But the thing was, I'd rather be there of my own accord than have someone in power tell me to go. You know what I mean? By going there by myself, I was the one in power. No one was making me go. I was there by my own shit. No one's going to make me go. I'll go here by myself. And I sorted myself out, you know. And the fact that I did volunteer, I ended up being actually part of it and become a facilitator and started doing the work. And I really liked it because it allowed me just to really get into this stuff and really explore it. I was like, you know, I don't want to hit my partner. I don't want to hurt anybody. What's with that? You know, that's just, you know, while it hurts them, it's also hurting you. That's the craziness about it. You know, if we do something like that, it just comes straight back at you. Like if I beat my kids, what's going to happen to me? You know, what's going to happen? Yeah, but I'll probably never get to see my kids again. Be taken off me. I might get to see them maybe on a Saturday, and if I see them on a Saturday or something like that, someone else will have to be in the room so that they can watch me, so that they can see me. So this is what happens. See, when people hurt their children, that's what happens. Supervised visits. Someone sits in the room and they watch you with your children. If you do anything that's not okay, that means you won't get to see them the next week. Your own children. Now, I don't want anything like that. No thanks, not for me. You know, I love my little babies, and you know, I want my babies to be safe. Nobody's going to hurt my children. My boy, 2 years old, stands about this tall. He's absolutely beautiful. When I was 2 years old, my dad was picking me up and throwing me across the lounge. How could you do that, you know, to a 2-year-old? My little boy, man, he's got these big brown eyes, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Like a curly hair. And he just, you know, he looks up at me and says, oh, man, how could you do that? You know? Sure, he does things and I get angry. The other day, he kicked me in the groin. Honest, I picked him up. And he had little gumbeats on. So he's madly kicking them off, you know, and I'm picking them up. I wasn't really watching, I was talking to somebody else. Wham! You know, and it got me in the right spot, just the right spot. Oh! So I put him down and I'm on the ground like this, you know, hands up. Oh! He's running around me laughing, thinking, oh, he's playing a game. You know? Trying to get on my back like a horsey rode. So, yeah, writing has been a saviour for me, and the martial arts. When I was 12 or 13, I got into the martial arts. Saw Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris on the TV. Oh, and I wanted to be like them. And the biggest thing with them was, you know, I had these people in my life had no control. No control. Someone pulled in front of my dad on the motorway, like these 2 ladies did one night. The children in the back. You know, she pulls in front, us kids in the cars just cringe. Oh, here we go. Dad. You know, and it comes up alongside. Wind your window down, you know. And you know, if you were in the front seat, that was the worst place. You were the one winding the window down, you know, it was going to come, but it was going to come across you as well. You know, my brother and sister in the back, they're sitting back further and further as much as they can. And Dad comes up alongside. These ladies are laughing, you know, having a good time, you know, children, you know, you know, pull over, you know. These women, their faces, you know, I don't even think they're aware of what they actually did. But my dad did that every moment, you know. Anything happened, my dad was up, you know. What you looking at? You know. And a lot of the family were like that, you know, always, wherever they went, they were big and loud. And, yeah. So, with the martial arts, you know, there was a lot more self-control, you know. Mama, hold it in, man, sort it out. You know, a lot more focus, a lot more disciplined, and, you know, come along and, yeah, you know, you're just trained to be, you're trained, you know, you go to the training and that's the place where you do it. You know, you're angry or whatever, you go there, you get with a couple of mates, you know, it's all safe, you know, you sort of go in there with an agreement, let's go for it, yep, shake hands, let's go. And it's all done, all nice and safe, at the end of it, your mates, you know, you're helping each other up off the floor. So I loved it, I thought it was brilliant, it was just a nice place to be. my first teacher I got, he was a lovely man, and he was like that. He was calm, you know, had the strength inside him, didn't have to show it all the time, just relaxed. The second one, he's from up this way actually. His name was Daigo, Makuji, and Ninjutsu, and ex-black power. And he liked to fight. And so I did spend a couple of maybe 2 or 3 years with him. And while I appreciated the training, which was very hard, most classes someone would break something, a nose or something, I did enjoy the training, but in the end it was too much, you know, he was too into he had some stuff he needed to sort out. But a lot of anger. But I enjoyed that training for that time, that was really good. I remember one time we were doing this class, and in the class we have this technique we do, we have a shine, which is a bamboo sword. And basically if someone swings it at you, you've just got to get out of the way, that's all you have to do. Of course they're really trying to hit you, but you can just get away. I had a mate come along. Now this guy, his life was a bit similar to mine, but he's chosen to go a different road. But anyway, he likes his drugs. But anyway, he was a good mate of mine, and he collapsed in the shower when he was 16. He had been smoking dope. He was also, what do you call it? You know, we inject yourself with insulin, yeah, you put on insulin, yeah. And so, you know, those two things don't go together. So he was in the shower, and he just seized up, basically. And as he fell, he hit the hot tap, turned the hot tap on, so he ended up being burned from all the way down here. And he lost his ear in the process. So he had this fake ear that just had a piece of Velcro. I'm like that. You know, while he was waiting for his other one. So he comes to my class, and he's a mate of mine, of course, and all these people are watching, and I'm saying to him, right, this is what we're going to do. Michael's going to come out here, I'm going to swing the stick at him, and then it's going to be your turn. All right? All you have to do is keep out of the way. You know, swinging the stick, going for Michael. He jumps back, his ear falls on the ground. All these guys look at each other, oh, he chopped his ear off! They're all ready to run. But the ear just falls. But any questions? You know, I'm aware our time's going. Any questions? Good question. Yeah. When I was doing the anger management and stuff, and also doing the martial arts, I ended up teaching martial arts, like I taught under Michael Jenkins. So but I started getting a bit concerned with what was being taught, and I noticed a lot of stuff about. You had all these black belts and that. They were really hot-headed, and they thought they were good, but they didn't have a lot of themselves sorted out. Now, if you got yourself sorted out, like I'm talking, you know, martial arts is supposed to be got the emotional aspects, the mental aspects, the physical and the spiritual. You're supposed to just have it sorted. So you don't always go looking for fights. You know, ninjas in Japan, you all know about ninjas. Watch the movies and see it on ninja. It's nothing like the movies. Their first technique they were ever taught was to run away. You didn't worry about pride or anything like that, you took all. Because the fact was, in feudal Japan, when all this stuff was going down, if you got caught, or if somebody found out who you were, your whole family gone. You know? So it didn't make sense to get caught up in this stuff of, you know, what you're looking at, you know, you just disappear. And so I thought, you know, how about blending more of this, because I had to do lots of counselling and stuff to get over my past. I ended up becoming a counsellor and so on. So what I did was, I don't really like the counselling thing, of somebody sitting in front of you and doing that. For me, it just didn't work. Like a lot of the time with the anger management, that's one thing I don't agree with. I think they do wrong. Because a lot of the time the guys come along, and you're sitting there, and in front of them is someone who is very academic, and is very here in their head. But yet the guys sitting in front of them are physical, what you call kinesthetic. The way they relate to the world is very physical, and when they get angry, it's physical anger. You know, but a lot of the time the person running the course is coming from this. So for me, it's about getting people up and getting physical, and that's why I started the way. And I also wanted to bring it to you guys. A lot of these men. You know, the biggest thing for them was the shame. They had done horrific things. How are they supposed to come back from that? if you've gone out and really hurt somebody, if you've gone and punched the woman you love, or really thrashed your kids, how do you come back from that? That's a long road to come. So I thought, why don't we get there before that happens? I don't want you guys to hurt the ones you love. None of you. Yes, we have to finish
Sorry to
it.
interrupt. The bell has gone.
Okay, I'll start to wrap up.
And we do have a young man who's going to speak.
Oh, okay, last thing. You know, man or woman here, you know, make sure you find someone who treats you right. Make sure you don't put up with rubbish. Someone tries to abuse you in any way, whether it's verbal, you know, things people say, man, whew, or behaviours or whatever, don't put up with it. You deserve much more than that. Don't let anybody treat you bad. Oh, see, I get to talk too much when I get going. But you guys, I thank you so much for your time today. It has been wonderful to come here. And this is where my, would have been my great-grandfather would have been up around here. I believe it was my grandfather that moved down more to the Dargahall area. I'm not sure exactly, but something like that. So yeah, so I'm in.
He has 23 siblings. That's Kaitaia Tipene.
So yeah, kia ora everybody. I thank you for your time and yeah.
Just, thank you.
On behalf of the student team, we would like to thank you for coming here and spending some time with us. And your cousins, they come from North, very far from here. And, yeah.
Awesome. If there's anything else you want to know, the school will have my details. You can email me or whatever.